Mani so ano na idimu agro udimu agro utimi dakama oba enumra no utimi dakama ana afin so no ye so bi e de si enyoma e de wo hye papa nom cars afin so no tatamani susu ana omo chese Apollo yewa so ensu a adu chance so a na so utimi ma Apollo no eko nti mpempi ensu a etofi so na oh, in so I took free so a good chance to saw a so be no. What is cinema? And I'm saying no a more a soft water knitting. It's me poor grow. Come amount. What did Darren so I hear? Only so and so a come on.
With the lack of potable water running through many homes in Ghana, roof runoffs harvesting is an alternative source of water. However, the roofing materials have been identified to affect the water's quality. The research published in the journal Science of the Total Environment sought to find certain substances and how they can impact consumers' health. Professor Sakuto is the lead scientist.
Since the environment is polluted and water runs through the environment, that is the atmosphere, before it gets to us or before we can harvest it. My interest was to find out whether these atmospheric particles have impact on the water quality as it rains. And I also observed that one of the materials that is used for rainwater harvest is actually runoff from roofs. So I also decided that since these roofing materials are made up of certain elements, metals, do they have any potential to leach these metals into the water that we harvest? My study at Ejoso was actually informed because of the harvest of rainwater. And I also realized that Ejoso, most people in Ejoso don't have access to pipe-borne water. Most of them are using boreholes and hand-dug wells. So my survey, initial survey, you realize that most of the people in Ejoso and its environs do harvest rainwater and use it for domestic purposes.
The researchers found heavy metals such as cadmium, iron, chromium and some germs were above the WHO standard. Cadmium in runoffs from asbestos roofing, for instance, was found to pose the biggest risk.
So we have procedures to estimate whether these metals can pose cancer and non-cancer risk. So we look at the individual metals from the individual roofing materials, and we realize that cadmium was one of the toxic metals that we can talk about so far as the metals of targets are concerned. And we realize that cadmium in all the roofing materials could pose non-cancer risks to both children and adults. And then we also realize that the same cadmium from the asbestos can also produce a cancer risk so far as human beings that use the water for both drinking and dermal contact, because we can use it to bath. Yeah, so when you bath with it for your lifespan or you drink it for your lifespan, then there's a higher possibility that you can have cancer. So if you are going to harvest water that you use for domestic purposes, then the recommendation is that we should use the most recent roofing materials.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.